It's the season closer for the Prototype Cup Germany. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Styrian Mountains. We are up in the clouds. The sun is shining, and we are getting ready for the first of two races this weekend. The final two races of the season for Prototype Cup Germany. This wonderful championship in its fourth season, organised by Creventic in association with the ADAC, that has provided us with fantastic racing all season long. Conditions are pretty perfect. 17.8 degrees centigrade. Track temperature, 19.5 degrees centigrade. Not expecting any rain, well, at least not today anyway, but we are high up in the mountains. We're some 677 meters above sea level. A massive crowd here as part of the DTM weekend. The last time we saw Prototype Cup Germany was at the Nürburgring in Germany, and we saw Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov secure the title for this season. And Danny Sufi, who was the outgoing junior champion, now steps up to the top step along with Pavel Lefterov, who's in his debut season in this championship. So they've got that championship done and dusted, but we've still got a bit of business to do because we have the junior championship yet to be decided. I would just say that Thomas Ambiel has also secured the trophy championship as well. But in the junior standings, it's Max Angelard and Mattis Pluschkel who lead Maxim Dirks by 8 points, but just 20 points behind is Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen and Riccardo Cirelli. And Riccardo Cirelli has done exactly what he needs to do. He's put the car on pole position for this race 11 of the 12-race season. There is the brand new champion, Danny Sufi, all the way from Texas in the USA. You can see there, can no longer be caught in the championship along with Pavel Lefterov. But it's all going to kick off behind. And Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov, they want more silverware. They're not here just to make up the numbers. They are here to win as we look at Sven Bart, another legendary name in the world of LMP3 and in the world of GT3 racing, who lines up third on the grid. We're getting ready to go. My name's Brian Oliver. I'm up in the commentary box overlooking the pit lane. Alongside me for today, a very good morning to the voice of DTM, Chris Hartley.
Morning, Brian. Morning, everybody. Looking forward to this. So the cars were out bright and early this morning for qualifying. Just after 8 o'clock. We had rain last night, pretty heavy rain. So the track was drying up when they're out for qualifying. It was still very damp offline by the end of the session. So a little bit of a venture into the unknown. It was rain affected during the course of yesterday as well. Riccardo Cirelli starting the race from pole position after an excellent qualifying. He was about 7/10 of a second quicker than anybody else. And the driver that was third in the championship last year, looking to finally break his 2025 duck, because he hasn't won a race yet. He's had 4 second place finishes. But as you say, the driver that's starting the race right behind him, Danny Sufi, has already wrapped up the championship alongside his teammate Pavel Lefterov, and they can't stop winning. They've had 6 wins this year, including 5 out of the last 6 races. So it's going to be a big battle. Cirelli, as you say, also going for the junior championship. Sven Bart starting third on the grid, but his teammate Maxim Dirks is another of the contenders for the junior championship, and the car directly behind them, 2 other drivers right in the fight for the junior championship in the top 2 in the number 18 car, Maximilian Angelard, who starts, and Mattis Pluschkel, who's next up. You'll hear a fantastic roar of noise when these cars get underway. V8 rumbling engines. This is the second generation of these cars, which this generation of cars brought in back in 2020. They've got 5.6 litre engines that make a huge rumbling noise. Got the big aero with the huge rear wings on the cars as well. And in terms of the tyres that they use, slick Michelin tyres, of which they have 3 sets of slicks to run across the course of the weekend.
I tell you what, you talk about the rumble. When this lot come past, I mean, it's not a massive field, but it is deafening. We have this big crowd here for DTM, and they always go, what on earth is that when this lot come past? Because the ground shakes as we get ready for the first of 2 formation laps here at the Redbull Ring. A circuit that is 4.318 kilometres around with 10 turns, 7 to the right, 3 to the left. Lots of overtaking opportunities here. It's a pretty fast circuit, some long, fast straights, a lot of undulation as well. So these two formation laps, a great opportunity to get the heat into the tyres, into the brakes. Looking there at Thomas Ambiel, who is the new champion in the trophy category, but he did not take part in quali this morning, had some issues. So starting off the back, just pulling away from the grid fairly tentatively as we have a look at the starting grid. And Riccardo Cirelli, who has his 4th ever pole position, has Danny Sufi, 6-time winner this season, alongside him. Then it's Sven Bart and Max Angelard in that Junior Championship Challenge. Mikael Herrick is next, and keep an eye on Zeno Folker on row 3, ahead of Miro Konopka and Marcel Kopp, 2 drivers making their debut here this weekend. Thomas Ambiel bringing up the rear of the pack. So you can hear that rumble as the cars get ready. We're looking down at turn 4. It is a mega fast circuit. So out of turn 1, up the hill towards turn 3, there is a turn 2 in between there, but it's just a kink in the track taken absolutely flat out. These cars are ground effect cars. It's all about downforce generated from the underside of the car. So they go very quickly. The faster they go, the more they stick in theory. They also, the slipstream, very powerful. So good opportunity to overtake into turn 3. Also out of turn 10 into turn 1. But track limits always an issue here at the Red Bull Ring. So they need to keep it within the lines. So generating the heat in the tyres on the formation lap. They are coming round now to do their 2nd formation lap. At this point, the clock will start. It's a 55-minute race plus 1 lap. During this race, a pit window will open. It'll open on the 22nd minute of the race. So when the clock says 33 to go, the pit window will open. It will remain open for 10 minutes. During that pit window, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop. So the drivers that are solo drivers will... Oh, we've got one in already.
Number 4. See from the commentary box, come into the pits with a problem, Miro Konopka. So he's way again quickly, but just had a quick chat with his race engineer and was released. But I think he's probably going to be held at the end of the pit lane now.
Yes, so clearly a problem there, and he'll be able to, he'll still be on the lead lap, but or at least I think he'll still be on the lead lap. We're on a green flag, the clock is ticking, so he could potentially lose a lap out of this one, couldn't he? So a problem there. For the drivers that come into the pits that are solo drivers, there won't clearly be a driver change, but they still need to come in. Every car has a different minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit. We'll tell you a bit more about that as the race unfolds. But at the moment, although we're under green flag condition, we're on the 2nd formation lap. Just a few moments, we will be racing proper. They're up at turn 6 at the moment in single file. And in a few moments' time, the lights will go off on the safety car. The instruction will be given to grid up. They will then be side by side. But I think the number 4 car is probably going to go a lap down. Really good to have Miro Konopka here, 63-year-old from Bratislava. Great to have ARC Bratislava, their first appearance of the season, coming to join the Prototype Cup Germany here in Austria. So out over the hill they come towards turn 9. Now they grid up side by side. It's Cirelli on pole position, Danny Sufi, keep an eye on Sven Bart and Max Angelard. Remember, Max Angelard very much thinking about the Junior Championship, as is Sven Bart, because although he's not in the Junior Championship himself, his co-driver is. Maxim Dirks will score the points from that car in the Junior standing. So it's getting personal on row 2 as well. Out along the line they come. So they see the 5 red lights in front of them. The 5 red lights will go off, and we are racing for the penultimate race of the season, Prototype Cup Germany. The drag race up to turn 1. Cirelli on the inside line, but Danny Sufi fancies swooping around the outside. He goes very deep into turn 1. They can get away with track limits often on the opening lap, and it looks like Sufi's managed to make that work. He's in front at the moment. Now Cirelli coming back just behind them. Max Angelard's made a great start, picking up the slipstream up the hill in towards turn 3. The heavy brake and a bit of a lock up for Cirelli. He gets his nose back in front, so 1st and 2nd running side by side on the exit of turn 3 out towards turn 4. Cirelli back in front. I wonder whether Danny Sufi might have actually allowed him back because he went so wide into turn 1. Didn't want to incur the wrath of the steward. So at the moment, as you were, because Sven Bart is back into that 3rd place, Max Angelard in the junior Hunt in fourth place as well. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, having broken clear a little bit from Mikael Herrich, also in there Zeno Volker as well.
Yeah, I think Danny Sufi just outbraked himself. He's a bit deep into the corner at turn 3, so had to wait to get on the throttle. That was where Cirelli got him on the way back out of the corner. At the same time, directly behind, that was a great move from Sven Bart in that multicoloured number 3 car. All the way around the outside, he charged of Angelard to get the place back that he'd lost on the run into turn 1. Brave stuff from the former class champion in the GT Masters Championship. So snatching that third place back. At the end of lap 1, then they go through. Cirelli back up front where he started the race, 6/10 clear at the end of lap 1 from Sufi, and then about 7/10 of a second behind and back up to third of that move at turn 1. Bart, Angelard in fourth, Zeno Volker making a good start, but depending on your grading as a driver, either bronze or silver, depending on who you're paired with and depending on whether you're a single driver or are sharing the car, you'll have different amounts of time added on to your minimum pit stop time. And Zeno Volker, as a silver driver who's driving solo, he's going to have the longest pit stop, so he needed that good start because he'll have 25 seconds added onto his time. Silver pairing 20 seconds. If you're a bronze driver, for example, no seconds get added onto your time, and that is the case for a couple of drivers out there to keep an eye on. So Cirelli back into the first place, but under investigation for crossing the line at the pit exit. It's the car that came into the pits at the end of that first formation lap, Konopka. So he's being looked at now down in last place. He did stay on the lead lap because that first lap didn't count as a racing lap.
Also picking up a warning was car number 2, Danny Sufi, as a result of that little excursion in turn 1 where he went so wide. So the stewards have given him a warning about that. A penalty lap has been awarded to Konopka for crossing the white line, so he's going to have to pass through the penalty box. That was the warning that was given to Danny Sufi for going so wide into turn 1. The race directors can sometimes be a little bit tolerant, but I think he was almost in downtown Spielberg there, so he regathered it up. And then this was that fight up towards turn 3. He had the inside line. You saw a little lock up there from Cirelli, and Cirelli back through on the inside, took that tighter exit out of turn 3. Great stuff from Riccardo Cirelli. Such a young driver, but so experienced. Kept himself away from Max Angelard there. Angelard fancied maybe getting involved as well. Thought that discretion was maybe the better part of valour.
Yeah, I think it actually tripped Angelard up a little bit, didn't he? And as I say, got Bart charging around the outside anyway, but because Cirelli had to sort of come across a bit to avoid the slightly out of shape Sufi, I think just having to pause on the throttle was that pink Muka car of Angelard, and that really helped Bart with better momentum make sure he got that third place back on the way out of turn 3. They're at turn 4 at the moment. We're off the road, I'm afraid. Has gone the number 21 car, Mikael Kopp. It's gone straight on by the look of it at turn 3, and I think, has he still got the engine running? Is he going to be able to get back again? I think so. Yeah, he's just trying to get it reversed now. There's a little strip of tarmac beyond the gravel trap. If he can stay on that, he'll be okay. It's just whether he's hit the barrier, how hard, and if he's damaged the car, but he's trying to get back in action. It's a real shame because for the first time since the first weekend of the season, sharing that car back in the championship, he's going to be Keanu Alazari, who was a multiple race winner last year, the UAE driver, very quick driver. He's been racing GB3 this year in single-seaters, and he's been a race winner at Silverstone in the UK. So hopefully that car does get back out there. It just looked like he locked up, Brian, and just went straight on, understeered off. But found himself avoiding the gravel, crucially.
Yeah, I think he just outbraked himself, didn't he? You see that, as you say, the lock-up. There'll be some nice flat spots on those tyres as well. Here we go again, different view of that, just under-braking, wasn't any contact. These are really tricky cars to drive. Molnar Motorsport, who fielded that car, very much about nurturing young talent. And so Marcel Kopp, from Germany, living in the UAE, his experience prior to this was the Golf Radical Cup, which is something quite different. As you already mentioned, Keanu Alazari, who will be sharing that seat with him, just announced at the very last minute. I only noticed when Alazari posted on his Instagram that he was in Austria, and I'm like, what's he doing here? And they slotted him into the seat. So Molnar giving Keanu Alazari another run in that car. Very impressive. Good that Kopp has kept it out of the fence, because it means that Alazari should still get a run in that this afternoon. Meanwhile, at the front, Riccardo Cirelli, 1.2 seconds clear of Danny Sufi. Sven Bart in third place. He's 2.262 back. Max Angelard about 7/10 back. So Max Angelard, who is sharing with Mattis Plushko, they are the leaders in the junior ranking, Maxim Dirks, who shares with Sven Bart, second, Matthias Bier-Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli in third. So it's going to close the championship up significantly if things remain as they are. But we've got an awful lot of racing to come, including the pit stops.
Yeah, the top four all get the same additional time onto their minimum pit stop time because they're all silver pairings as well. So they'll get 20 seconds added on. Zeno Falker in 5th place as a solo driver gets an extra 5 seconds, so 25 seconds added on to his time. And then the number 80 Gebhard car in 7th place, for example, and he gets 10 seconds because that's a bronze-silver pairing. So stay within 10 seconds of 1 or 2 cars ahead. He should be able to leapfrog a place or two during that pit stop window, the mandatory pit stop window, when we get to it. And for the number 4 car, a bad start to the race from the pit lane and then the penalty. Car you're looking at now, number 4, he's a solo driver and bronze rated, so he doesn't get any seconds added onto his minimum pit stop time, as we see the reason for his penalty.
Yes, crossing the white line, really important that the drivers blend in safely, and the race stewards have a zero tolerance approach to crossing the white line on the pit exit. Testing the underside of the car, Riccardo Cirelli, getting a bit of air, looks good, not always the most effective way around, but he's certainly doing exactly what he needs to do. Danny Soufi in that second place, just dropping back a little bit actually. Remind you that Soufi, along with Pavel Lefterov, have won 6 races this year. Soufi, the Texan driver who first sat in a racing car at the age of 8. It was a Mazda MX-5, something a bit different from here, this. And he raced Mazdas for a few years. Moved to Europe to really focus on this, has become very closely linked to Franz Conrad's team of Conrad Motorsport. He's also a driver coach. He's also a website and app developer. There we go. Didn't know that, did you? So he has a fascination with coffee. Could do with sending some up here this morning.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He actually, on the previous lap, set the absolute best middle sector, but overall, Cirelli did the best lap of the race. It was a couple of tenths quicker. Cirelli, there's a couple of shots of him going through, really pushing the Michelin tyres to the very edge of adhesion. So the Italian, who's only in his 2nd season of car racing, he's only 17 years of age, Cirelli, finished 3rd in this championship last year with a couple of wins at Hockenheim, a very strong kart race, raced internationally, was also a runner-up and finished 3rd in the Italian karting championships. So he's a very rapid young driver. Danny Soufi won the Winter Championships at the start of the year over the UAE in Prototype Cups, and then has now wrapped up this championship with a weekend to spare. Runner-up last year, 2.2 seconds behind, because again, in the middle of the lap, the middle sector is the longest sector, by the way. The lap is roughly divided into 3, but actually the way it works out at the Redbull ring, the middle sector is much longer than the other 2 sectors. So sector 1 only really takes in first corner and the run up the hill. Sector 2 takes in turn 3, turn 4, 5 and 6, and then almost the entrance to turn 7. So if you get that one right, which is about half the lap length, you're on for a flyer, and that's where Cirelli is making good ground at the moment. He's generally about 0.2 of a second quicker than Danny Soufi through that middle sector. Soufi, though, is definitely pulling away from Bart in 3rd. Bart just edging away from Angelard as well for 3rd and 4th.
And Angelard is pushing hard. That is proven by the fact that he's had a track limit warning on turn 1. So that's how hard he is pushing. Really needs to get every possible fraction of a second out of each lap to stay in touch. But Sven Bart, very experienced racer. We saw him in GT Masters for a few years. And of course, Maxim Dirks, who he shares that seat with. So I've mentioned it before, Bart is not in the junior category, but Maxim Dirks is. So whatever points that car scores will go the way of Maxim Dirks in that championship. He is just 8 points behind Mattis Plushkol and Max Angelard. So things remain as they are now. It's going to be 25 points that will go the way of Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Bier-Jakobsen. It would be that's in the junior championship. Then it will be points for 2nd place that would go to Maxim Dirks, and it would be points for 3rd place that would go to Max Angelard and Mattis Plushkol. So things remain as they are now. Maxim Dirks will close in to within 4 points of the lead of the junior rankings, and Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Bier-Jakobsen will close in to within 11 points of the lead of the junior rankings. So this is probably going to go all the way down to the wire.
Yeah, it's very, very close, isn't it? White flag's been shown because already at the end of the previous lap, that blue and white car in the middle of his shot. That's the one that went straight on at turn 3 about 5-6 minutes ago. That's been lapped now, so he did a good job to stay out of the way of the leaders, Michael Kopp in the 21 car, but it is a lap down now. The third place car finds a way through. He's flashing his headlights there, Sven Bart, just to make sure that the back marker knew he was coming, and he didn't get held up there. The next job is to try and stay out of the way of that pink BWT Muka Motorsport car of Michael Angelard, which he does. A few kinks and rollers up and down Dale between turns 3 and 4, but it's all taken flat out. Downhill then into this turn. That sucks you towards the edge of the curbing and towards that big gravel trap. And then it's downhill all the way out of that right-hander at turn 5, through turn 4 and 5, right-handed downhill. Still downhill as you come out of turn 6 and into turn 7. Then eventually out of turn 7 you go uphill a little bit over a crest, and the last 2 turns are really steeply downhill. It's a massive climb here. It never really shows the undulation on the TV pictures, but that run from turn 1 up to turn 3, it's incredibly steep. It's a long way up there.
Yeah, we tried to run that once, didn't we? We can do that again. He's
started going backwards at one point.
I mean, it's like a mini Eau Rouge into Radion going into turn 3, or at least I think it is. It's also that climb into turn 1, which is a lot steeper than you realise as well. So a lot of undulation here, but it is a circuit that is incredibly fast and does provide those overtaking opportunities. It's the third country that we visited in Prototype Cup Germany. We opened up in Spa back in April, remember that? Then we've spent most of the season in Germany, including the streets of Nuremberg at the Nürburgring, and then it's all coming to a close here in Austria. But this is one that everybody looks forward to. We love coming here. The scenery is breathtaking. We're up in the clouds, but the racing is always good here. At the moment, Trelli has this under control, but we're about 7 minutes away from the pit window opening, and the whole dynamic of this race could easily shift. As Chris already mentioned, different pit stop times, different minimum pit stop times from pit entry to pit exit for various cars and driver combinations, and it can turn things on its head. Also different levels of experience. So Riccardo Trelli, certainly the more experienced of the two between himself and Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen, although Matthias has been very rapid. They've had 4 second places this year. Already mentioned, yet to stand on the top step of the podium. Could it be on the final weekend of the season they do that, perhaps when they need it most, when they're trying to get up ahead in the Junior Championship of Prototype Cup Germany?
The one that should shoot up the order during that pit stop phase is the car in 6th place, that lime green number 33 car of Thomas Ambiel, because he's a bronze driver, bronze-rated driver driving on his own, so he doesn't get any penalty seconds added on to his pit stop time, whereas the first 4 will have 20 seconds added on, and the car in 5th will have 25 seconds added on, and he's 21 seconds behind the race leader at the moment. So if they were to pit now, he'd be, in theory, if it all went well in pit stop, about a second and a half behind the leader, and he'd leapfrog everybody else. But we're still a little way away from that pit window opening. But nonetheless, that Ambiel car, which is 6th at the moment, ought to be moving up at least a couple of places during that pit window.
In 5th place, just ahead of him, Zeno Folker, having a fairly, I would say, fairly quiet day by his standards, actually. I mean, he's only done a couple of weekends so far, but has been really quick out of the blocks. And of course, as a solo silver driver, is clobbered with the worst possible minimum pit stop time. Yeah. So really wants to make up as much ground as possible, but he's going to be stationary for 5 seconds longer than anybody else in the field, and that's going to really hurt. But he's one of the real up-and-coming talents. Didn't have the budget to do a full season of Prototype Cup Germany, but I sincerely hope we're going to see a lot more of him. I have no doubt we're going to see a lot more of him, because he has a real raw talent, young driver. But in that 5th place at the moment, in the sister car to the new champions, the Conrad Motorsport car, the identical car, just to confuse us, but in that 5th place at the moment, and he's about 5 seconds back from Max Angelard. So, yeah, he needs to hopefully make a bit of progress from there.
Been keeping an eye on this battle for 3rd for a couple of laps. He's working hard, Angelard, in that pink number 18 car to bridge that gap. He took about 1.5 tenths out of Bart 2 laps ago, and he's done pretty much the same on that lap. So over the last couple of laps, he's got the gap down to Sven Barth in that multicoloured number 3 car from 1.4 seconds to 1.1 seconds. So he's certainly keeping the pressure up. He's another young driver, just 17, the Polish driver in that pink machine that you are watching there in the background, raced in the GT4 Championship last year. But he's also another driver that, like a lot of these young drivers, already with years and years of race experience as a karter, racing in European and various World Karting Championships between 2018 and 2023. So it's been good this year, Brian, hasn't it, to see, and really over the last couple of years, a lot of young drivers switching almost straight up from karting to come into this series, because it really is a great training ground. These LMP3 cars, if you want to etch out a career in endurance racing, maybe make it to the World Endurance Championship one day.
Yeah, real young talent, and it's great because you've got teams like Molnar Motorsport, BWT Muka, Conrad, who love taking these young talents from karts, and what a step up. You watch these cars coming past on the pit straight here at the Red Bull Ring, and it's terrifying how quick they go. I mean, they're lapping, in some cases, quicker than the DTM cars, which they're supporting here this weekend. Really, really impressive, and a great learning curve for these drivers, learning the ground effect cars. You look at the likes of Chiara Alazzari, who's gone on to do lots of other stuff in single-seater racing as well. Great to have him back here this weekend. But yes, such a good training ground. Certainly our race leader at the moment, Riccardo Cirelli, he has been so impressive in pretty well every race he's been in, along with his co-driver, Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. The drivers that are challenging in the junior ranking, Maxim Dirks, another young charger. I look at Matis Pluschko, Max Anglard. Well, Matis Pluschko, we saw him in GT4 Germany last year. He has looked more at home in this series than he did in the GT4 car, and just some kinds of cars suit certain driver styles. So yeah, a great series, really great way of encouraging young drivers into the sport. But these things are tough to drive. We've seen it. Particularly on bumpy surfaces, and we saw this at the Lausitz ring. You know, when it gets away from you, it gets away from you quick. So there is no just chilling around here on a Saturday afternoon racing. It is real white knuckle stuff.
Got to be fit as well, because there's so much aero on these cars.
Yeah,
they're just glued to the road through the corners. So through the high-speed corners, you know, you're putting a lot of force on your body as it just sticks to the track. It's a pretty rapid circuit, this as well. The gap has stabilised from first to second on the last lap but one. Sufi took about 19 thousandths of a second out of Cirelli. He was a bit quicker at the start of that lap as well, but actually on that last lap the gap grew by about 21 thousandths of a second. So it's stabilised to 2.6 seconds now. So Sufi's kind of hanging on to Cirelli. Something you've got to think about around here. It's fairly hard on the tyres with these high-speed corners, particularly at the end of the lap. So we'll look after those tyres a little bit, with it being such a long race, 55 minutes plus one lap. It's not hugely hot, 18 degrees, but the track temperature is starting to rise now. It's creeping up towards 20 degrees. So just got to stay focused as well. As the race leader, can be hard, can't it? Because if you're chasing somebody, you're sort of following their lines, trying to outbrake them. You've got to mark. If you're on your own, you've really got to stay switched on. It's easy to lose the plot a little bit. As we look at this battle now, a bit further back between Thomas Zambiel and Michael Herrick for 6th and 7th places. Only about a second and a half between these two, who both just set their best laps of the race last time around, and Herrick was about 2/10 quicker, so that gap's coming down, the one you're watching on screen.
Yeah, you mentioned tyres. Of course, we don't have tyre changes in Prototype Cup Germany, so if you're sharing the car with somebody else, whatever state those tyres are in, your co-pilot is going to have to bring them home. I'm thinking of Marcel Kopp in the 21 car, because I think there's some flat spots on those, and Chiara Alazzari might have some additional vibrations to what he was anticipating originally. Right, you can see we are 8, 7, 6 seconds away from the pit window opening, so it'll be a 10-minute window. This is where the strategy starts to come into play, as we see Miro Konopka in 8th place. There as well is Thomas Ambiel in 7th. Michael Herrick up there as well in the number 80 car. So the pit window is open. I'm going to suggest that Riccardo Cirelli may want to stay out quite a long time in this. It'll be the call of the team at BWT Muka Motorsport, but they may decide that with an open track in front of him, and Cirelli potentially, well, he's certainly the more experienced of the two between himself and Matthias Pierre Jakobsen, so they may decide to keep him out as long as possible. I reckon car 18, again, BWT Muka Motorsport, I reckon they might bring Max Anglard in quite early early, try and get him out on some open track, well, certainly with Matisz Plushko behind the wheel of the car, and see if they can make some progress from there. But of course, I'm not a strategist. That's good news for everybody. We'll see what happens, but now the pit window is open. So far, nobody has blinked.
No, not yet. It's a pretty short one, as you say, though. Just that 10 minutes, although it's a short lap here as well, so it gives you a bit more flexibility than at some of the other circuits. Replay of that car just running wide. You've got to watch track limits around the last corner, turn 10 and turn 1, but very wide on the exit, and certainly not to gain an advantage. There was the 33 car of Ambiel, and he just lost momentum with that as he rumbled onto the curb, so he went over the start-finish line. There was that change for 6th place. So Herrick had been threatening for a couple of laps, kind of gifted the position in the end as he went through into 6th place without really having to work too hard for it. The gap's just crept out a bit more now between the top two. It's from 2.6 seconds to 2.8 seconds. So Chirelli and Jakobsen, who share that car, will get 25 points if they were to win the junior category as it stands. And then Bart, who shares the car with Dirks, he would get for 3rd place 16 points. And Plushko and Angelard at the moment on course for 13 points. It all means that there'd be 8 points between all 3 of them in the Junior Cup. We've got our first pit stop, so Kopp comes in, a lap down now, that car, after its excursion, and then after that going slow and letting the leaders through. So when Keanu Alazari gets in, it's kind of just going to be for fun now, because he's going to be a lap down on everybody else, but he is a very rapid driver, isn't he?
Yes, I don't big him up too much, put too much pressure on, but he's almost certainly going to make some kind of progress from there. So Keanu Alazari, it will be, I'm just looking to see, his 15th race in Prototype Cup Germany. He has won a couple of times at Zandvoort and at Sachsenring last year. Didn't have the best of starts of the season when he was at Spa at the beginning of this year. Very tricky conditions there as well, but he'll be relishing this. So car stationary in the pits, no hurry, because that minimum pit stop time. Right, who's this into the pits now? Zeno Volker. Yeah. So he's not going to be, well, he can get out of the car if he wants, he can go and have a comfort break if he wants, but it's him that's going to be getting back in again. So he's got that painful long stop, longer than anybody else, 120 seconds. 5 seconds longer than anybody else on account of being a solo silver driver. We talk about bronze and silver. Silver are the young, up-and-coming, professional drivers, the young superstars in a lot of cases coming through the ranks, or drivers with experience. They are rated by the FIA as silver. Bronze rated are more of the gentleman drivers, the amateur drivers, so with less experience. So that's the difference between bronze and silver. You hear us talking about that.
So Volker was only 8 seconds clear of Herrick, but Herrick, when he comes in, he only has to 10 seconds added onto his time. So he's giving 15 seconds away to the number 18 car. He's giving 25 seconds away to Ambiel, who's next in the queue in 7th place, because he has 0 added onto his pit stop time. So Volker is going to drop down behind both of those. So if you actually want to watch the second half of the race as he gets back in, of course he knows all about the track conditions because he's already done the first half of the race. That is a bit of an advantage when the track was different this morning, when it was damp this morning, because for the drivers getting in for the second phase in the other cars, they're going to have to try and explore it a little bit and find the limits, whereas Volker, he's already on it, he's already got the rhythm. So we want to watch as he tries to get a couple of positions back due to this slow pit stop.
So just waiting in the pits. You can't go and park up at the white line. You've got to get up to speed in the fast lane and then head out to the white line. So the trying to back time it to try and get to the exit line of the pits when the clock strikes 0. You don't want to lose too much time messing around in the pit lane as Volker now finally gets going. Now the thing that Volker will be praying for will be a safety car, because if a safety car came out now, all the cars would close up into single file and that long pit stop would be cancelled out for Zeno Volker. But that is very much in the lap of the gods. At the moment, Chirelli, Sufi, Bart, Angelard all staying out, also Herrick and Ambiel. So we've still got 6 cars yet to come in. For once, one of my predictions is right. Chirelli's staying out reasonably late in the window before handing the car over to Matthias Jakobsen.
He's still pushing on, isn't he? You watch the body language of the car. I mean, his best lap's are 1:27.8. He's still within half a second a lap of that, and he got the gap out over the last few laps. He almost doubled it to 4.1 seconds. Sufi comes in then in response to that because he's been losing time. So Pavel Lefterov will get into the car. It's 115 seconds, the minimum pit stop time. So it's more than a lap's worth of time. So the order will get mixed up a little bit during this next 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. But Sufi coming in, then left her off, getting ready. There's Franz Conrad, the team boss. Home race, of course, for Conrad, the Austrian team, and Franz, a very accomplished racer back in his day. I don't know what vitamins he has, but he hasn't aged in about 30 years. He still looks as fresh as he did all those years ago. He still has massive enthusiasm, always with a smile on his face. So polish the windscreen, clear the bugs off. Time to do that in this minimum stop time. So I can see where they're going. And in as well has come Thomas Ambul, I can see, in the 33 car. There he's on his screens. So he makes his pit stop. Now he will have 0 seconds added onto the minimum pit stop time. So this is the car that's going to gain, in theory, 2, 3, maybe even 4 places, as long as they do a good pit stop and get him as close to the minimum stop time as he can be. And the stop time isn't just stationary time, it's from the pit lane entry, the white line of the pit lane entry, to the pit lane exit, the white line that marks that.
So the crew get to work, very limited to what you're allowed to do. They're allowed to clean the windscreen, they're allowed to take tyre pressures, they're only allowed a couple of mechanics out to work on the car. One of the track marker bollards has gone south there, so we're down to 2. We'll see whether the other 2 last the rest of the way. But the pit stop's very heavily regulated, and there's a close eye kept on everything that is done. Cirelli continues to lap, Bart continues to lap, Angelard up to 3rd place, but yet to make a stop. The engine fires into life. So the Bulgarian Pavel Lefterov has been something of a sensation. We've seen Pavel Lefterov in GT4 Germany. This is something very, very different. It's only his 11th race ever in Prototype Cup Germany, and he's already a title winner along with Danny Sufi. The two of them have proven to be a potent combination. They're the first American-Bulgarian title winners. I should think they're probably the first American-Bulgarian title winners in anything. It's quite an unusual combination, but such a potent combination, as now Max Angelard into the BW Team Muka Motorsport pit box, getting ready to hand the car over to Matis Plushko. Great driver, great guy, jumping behind the wheel, and he will be itching to get out there and get after the cars in front.
Cirelli still pushing on, your race leader here. He's got a couple of minutes to come in and make his mandatory pit stop. Looking for their first win of the season. Cirelli and Jakobsen will take over, and in he comes now. So he could have done another lap, but he comes in now, Cirelli. So just got to get this as close to that minimum pit stop time as he can. He's got the same minimum pit stop time as the cars that were in 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions. Make sure he adheres to the pit lane speed limit as he brings the car in now. So a really good stint from Cirelli. Lefterov, meanwhile, will be having to try and push on as hard as he can now to try and close what had become more than a 4-second gap between the top 2 before we got into this pit window, having taken over from Danny Sufi. So he's in the number 2 car. He's a driver that spent the last few years Lefterov in GT4s. And then Jakobsen getting ready to get in. We've got the Angelard car in as well. So Maximilian Angelard, the pink Muka car, which was running in 4th place. Matis Plushko will take over from that. That's one of the contenders for the Junior Championship, those 2 drivers. And it looks like the Michael Herrick car has come in as well, the Gebhard car, number 8, to make its stop right at the end of the window. So then essentially that is the 22 car, which had the longest stop of all, but Zeno Falca gets back effectively onto the lead lap now with this long pit stop and short lap that you lose about a lap and a quarter when you make your pit stop.
So everybody has or is pitting, so soon we will see how it all shakes out. So Thomas Ambul, you can see from the graphic, has done a good job. As a result of that shorter pit stop, has certainly moved himself up into the positions. It's always a bit risky running it late in the pit window because you need to have a spin or some kind of issue and not get back to the pits before the window closes, and you're going to be hit with a very heavy penalty. And I have to say, if you miss the pit window, they tend to throw the book at you. But everybody's done it, no problems there. I haven't seen anybody go below the minimum pit stop time yet. We've still got 2 cars with the clock ticking down, so this is going to be interesting. The engine is running. The number 8 car gets moving at the moment. So Lefterov is coming into turn 9, as you can see. Out onto the pit straight he will come. Remember, his tyres will be hot. Everything will be up, the temperature will be up to speed. So where will he emerge? Where will Matthias Bier Jakobsen emerge? in relation to Pavel Lefterov, the brand new champion for Prototype Cup Germany. Here he comes now,
just out of the
turn
pits.
1.
Yeah, he's up, just going into turn 2. There he is. Yeah. So I reckon he's extended his advantage.
Yeah.
So he held on to the lead. The third car is still going to be the number 3 car, which is now driven by Maxim Dirks, which looks definitely on the track map a bit closer to the number 2 machine than it was before. And then the fourth one through is going to be the number 18 car, now driven by Plushko. That's a lot further back. That didn't have a great pit stop, I don't think, because he was within a couple of seconds of the number 3 car for the battle for third. It's now a long way back. The Gebhardt car has just come out. That's directly in front of the 5th place car, Thomas Ambiel, which had the shorter pit stop. And then you got Zeno Falca behind in the 22 car. Those 3 are all together, 5th, 6th and 7th, heading towards turn 4.
So it's now all the way to the flag, 21.5 minutes, just over that, as we look at Maxim Dirks, very much in the championship hunt. So Pavel Lefterov behind Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. We'll have a look at the gap in just a few moments. Bjerre-Jacobsen up into turn 9 and heading into turn 10. And when we cross the line, we'll see what the gap is between the two of them. And we'll see whether that is going to change. But now, where they are on the track, no more stops to be done, no scheduled stops anyway. So it's all the way to the flag. But look at Zeno Falca. He's looking eager, isn't he? So Falca in that 7th place, lining up the trophy champion, Thomas Ambiel, goes to the inside. Ambiel, I think fairly wisely, deciding not to stand in the way of the oncoming storm that is Zeno Falca. So Falca up into 6th place. They come out across the line. So the gap, 5.5 seconds between Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen, Pavel Lefterov, a vastly more experienced driver, albeit in a different discipline, but the new champion in Prototype Cup Germany. We're going to see how quickly he can whittle away at that 5.5 second gap.
Yeah, so you go 25 seconds away to the car in the pits that he's just overtaken. You go 15 seconds away to the car that he's now got to try and repass to get back up into the place that he was before all this happened, 5th position, and he's catching him pretty rapidly, isn't he? So this is the battle for 5th place, the red and white Gebhardt car. Mikkel Jansen, the Danish driver, just coming over the crest now, heading towards turn 4, but being gobbled up here by Zeno Falca and that 22 Conrad Motorsport car, the turquoise and black machine. Be hard to pass in this middle sector. There's not really much in the way of opportunities through turns 6, 7 and 8. It's not quite close enough yet anyway, but if you can get close towards the end of the lap and get a good run coming out of turn 10, there'll be opportunities at the start of the lap into turn 1, but really the biggest overtaking opportunity is going to be up the hill and into that 90-degree right-hander at turn 3 at the start of the next lap. He should have the speed to do it. He was a lot quicker than the car he's chasing down the other driver on board previously. He's a silver-rated driver. He's just got to pick his moment and get through as quickly as he can without losing too much time. Still 19.5 minutes to go. The number 8 car did extend its advantage overall. Then it was 4.1 seconds clear before the pit stops, 4.4 seconds clear now, with Jacobsen ahead of Lefterov. And then, yeah, the one that really gained an advantage there was the number 3 car, Maxim Dirks, 7 seconds clear now of the number 18 car, Plushko. And they were pretty close together before the pit window opened.
I think Lefterov actually, although the gap was bigger before the pit window, Lefterov took a second, 1.1 seconds out on the previous lap. So Lefterov is closing in. Dirks 3.8 back. So I think Lefterov is looking pretty quick. The last lap from Lefterov was at 1:28.5. The last lap from Bjerre-Jacobsen was at 1:29.6. So I think that we might, with 18.75 minutes remaining, we might yet have a challenge for the lead. Plushko will want to move forward from that 4th place. Remember, they are leading, he is leading, along with Max Angelard, the Junior Championship, and will want to try and extend that. Well, that's not going to happen if things remain as they are. It's all going to close up a bit. Zeno Falca continuing to push forward. You get the feeling that 5th place will be within his reach before too long. Mikkel C. Johansson, the driver from Denmark, in the number 80 car, currently holding on to that 5th place, but Zeno Falca moving forwards.
This was previously when Thomas Ambiel conceded that 6th place to Zeno Falca. Valka getting through, not too difficult that move a couple of laps ago, but Johansson really is doing a good job of fending him off here, running in 5th place. Johansson, he's very experienced, but not in these sorts of cars. So his background really is in tin top racing, in Thunder Sports Championships, front runner for many years in Denmark, also raced in Sweden. He even raced an Aston Martin in the UK in the Brick Car 24-hour race at Silverstone, when that was a big annual event. So he switched to these cars. Some very artistic shots from our camera ops here, so it's fantastic. But yeah, Johansson doing a very good job. I thought Valka might have got him on this lap, but he is fending him off beautifully for 5th place. Meanwhile, the race leaders on the last lap, I think Jakobsen maybe just took a lap to get up to speed, because he's there now. He did a 1:29.2 on the last lap and 1:29.3 for Lefterov. So the gap stabilises. 3.5 seconds between the top two. That's going to hurt the bottom of the spine, isn't it, when you go with curves like that?
I'll tell you what, that's Count Alazari. And oh, by the way, did I mention he's the fastest man on the track at 1:27.766. Our race leader last time was a 1:29.274. So Keanu Alazari might be last on account of his co-driver having that moment earlier on in the race, but he ain't given up yet, is he? Certainly very, very rapid. Now, finally to the inside, Zeno Volker sees the gap, the inside of Mikael C. Johansson, and shuffles up into that 5th place. Again, I think Mikael C. Johansson not putting up too much of a fight, just deciding to allow Zeno Volker the space. We know this young charger doesn't really back off for anything or anyone as we head up into turn 1 and now out into turn 2. This really fast section of the circuit. That is turn 2, that little kink there. They won't even think about lifting off at that point, and then up the steep hill to turn 3. So job done for Zeno Volker, up into 5th place. Still some 11 seconds back though from 4th place Matis Pluskal. We look again at a replay of that, and I say Mikael C. Johansson, there was the gap on the inside, and I think he decided it's not worth driving the wheels off the thing, trying to defend a position, because I think Zeno was going to get through one way or another. Meanwhile, at the front, Pavel Lefterov has taken a chunk out of the lead. The gap between 1st and 2nd, remember a couple of laps ago, was 5.5, is now down to 3.266. Watch out, Matas Pierre Jakobsen. Pavel Lefterov is coming.
Yeah, all he do is keep the pressure up, really, and stay in the mirrors of the race leader. Through they come, just over 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Uphill, breaking into turn 1 there for the race leader. Jakobsen, Lefterov, 2.7 seconds back now, and on that lap did a 1:28.5, was more than half a second quicker than Jakobsen. That's the biggest gain that he's made since these two hopped into their respective cars after the pit stop. So that gap dwindling back down. It was over 4 seconds at one point, 2.7 now. Maxime Dirks goes through. He's done a 1:29.5 on that lap, but Plushka behind him did a 1:28.2. It wasn't a great lap that from Maxim for whatever reason. He's still got a comfortable advantage over 4th of more than 5 seconds, but he doesn't want to start giving away half a second or so. Just see the pink Muka car in the background there. We're pretty close together before the pit window, but Plushka now starting to make inroads and a mighty gap back. He's in turn 4, just coming out of turn 3. Then is Zeno Volker in 5th place. And I was just keeping one eye on the battle for 7th. Ambiel lost half a second to Konopka on the previous lap, but has responded on this one and gained a couple of tenths back. So that gap from 7th to 8th from the number 33 car to the number 4 car is hovering at around 5 seconds as well.
14 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Remember, the overall title is now decided, but the Junior Championship very much up and running and alive and kicking. The calculations, if I've done them correct, that is fairly unlikely, but I'm pretty sure that if things remain as they are, as was the case about half an hour ago, that the leaders in the junior ranking would still be Max Anglard and Matis Pluskal if the race finished now, but their gap would be down to 4 points from Maxim Dirks, Third place would be Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli, and they would have closed in to 11 points within the lead. Remember, we've got one more race tomorrow, so this could go all the way down to the wire. Really exciting stuff. In the team standings, Conrad Motorsport lead BWT Mucker Motorsport by 26 points. It's just the highest placed car from each team that scores the points. So BWT Mucker would close in on Conrad Motorsport in the team standings as well.
Chiaro Alizari has just set the fastest lap of the race, 1:27.6 seconds. That's 0.8 of a second quicker than the race leader's going at the moment. It's just such a shame that that blue-white number 21 car is a lap down after excursion early on in the race at turn 3 for Marcel Kopp, who was driving the car for the first stint. But Alzari doing a fine job, as I say, competing in single-seaters, which he's sort of intertwined his single-seater and prototype career over the last few seasons. He previously, before he came into this championship last year, raced and was very competitive in Spanish F3. He's racing older format Formula 3 cars in the GB3 championship, effectively the British F3 championship. So he's a race winner fairly recently at Silverstone and runs in the top 6 in that championship. So it's been good to see him come back here as a late entry to the Red Bull ring, and having set the fastest lap of the race, he's just done the absolute best second sector on this lap as well. So it might be a lap down, but he's absolutely charging at the moment. A bit deep into the corner there for the red machine, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's really helped Lefterov. He'd taken 0.3 out of the lead on the previous lap, but you can see that is not 2.3 seconds. So Bjerre-Jakobsen went very deep into turn 3, had to pretty well stop the thing to get it around the corner. He's up to speed again, but that gap has come right down. You can see how hard Lefterov is hustling the Conrad Motorsport car. Now, there you go, first and second within the same shot. We've still got 11 minutes and 20 seconds. This race is far from over.
Yeah, and Jakobsen looking for his first win. As I say here, Cirelli partnering up this year for 4 second-place finishes. They've been on the third step of the podium as well, but they haven't quite got a race win yet. He was started the season racing in the Winter Cup, was 6th in that, got a best of 3rd at Aragon, so he was on the podium there. Multiple podiums in this category, but yet to get onto the very top step of the podium. That'll be in the back of his mind. Lefterov, with the championship already wrapped up, with this great run of 5 wins from the last 6 races, absolutely charging, and the gap for the first time down to less than a second. He's also doing the old touring car trick of flashing the headlight just to try and distract the driver that he's hunting down. He says, "I'm coming for you," trying to unnerve him, and already started to play the psychological games. Jakobsen is going to have to dig deep for 10.5 minutes plus 1 lap. It's going to seem like an eternity for him, I think.
Pavel Lefterov, who started go-karting at 9 years old, but has spent his entire career in GT4 racing pretty well. Got the call-up by Franz Conrad at the very last minute to come to Spa for the season opener. He wasn't even able to get his helmet and his overalls. They were in Bahrain at the time, so he had to borrow some to get to the first event of the season. He had 0 LMP3 experience. He's also a driver coach. He's also at uni, can you believe, studying mechanical engineering and business. They get very busy, but now he's hunting down the race leader as Chiana Alizari moves up the position on Konopka. So Alizari on his way forward. So he's a lap down, isn't he? So Chiana Alizari trying to get himself back onto that lead lap after that early excursion by his co-driver. But Pavel Lefterov, the driver coach, putting all of his experience to good use as well, has closed in. Right, it looks as though, to me, like Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen has just gathered it all up on that last lap, and he's opened it up again, 1.238. So Bjerre-Jakobsen starting to respond to the closing Lefterov.
Yeah, sort of hovered at 0.9 of a second. He lost a couple of tenths at the start of the lap, so this was where Lefterov was stronger on the last lap, but he held station and was actually a bit quicker in the middle of the lap, and they were similar at the end of the lap as well. So for the second lap running, the gap is 0.9 of a second. He can't afford a slip anywhere, really, because if he does, he loses momentum coming out of one corner by air braking himself into the entry to the corner. Then very quickly that number 2 machine the Conrad car will be upon him. So they make their way now over the rollers, through the kinks, downhill into this braking zone for the right-hander at turn 4, making the apex no problem this time for Pierre Jakobsen, another driver that has had single-seater racing experience prior to this in Formula 4, in the Nordic Formula 4 Championship, which he won convincingly last year. 12 wins from 21 races, including 7 victories on the bounce towards the end of the season. But he's switching to prototype cups for racing this year for the LMP3 cars, and doing a very good job, trying to hang in there to get this first race win. Again, through the first sector, he's responded. He was a tiny bit quicker than Lefterov through the first part of the lap, and he's half a tenth or so quicker, well, tenth quicker actually through the middle part of the lap. So it's very much stabilising. Out of the last corner, though, I would say it looked like Lefterov got the better run. Has the gap come down or not?
Yes.
To 7/10 of a second.
So 2/10 out on that lap. Up towards turn 1 they come once again. Maxim Dirks now 6.7 seconds back from this fight. So unless these two get together, and there's a problem, probably third is as good as it's going to get for the number 3 car. But this is the fight for the win of the race. Matthias Pierre Jakobsen, the young driver, just 18 years old, with Pavel Lefterov, a way more experienced driver at 27 years old, but not necessarily in LMP3 racing the experience, but has closed in on him, now looking to try and take his 7th win of the season. Matthias Pierre Jakobsen wants his first ever win in Prototype Cup Germany. Is Pavel Lefterov going to steal away his dreams? First and second running together, 7/10 of a second. This is such a test for Matthias Pierre Jakobsen.
This is Thomas Ambiol about to be passed by Keanu Alazari, but Alazari just, again, unlapping himself from one of the cars. Down the inside he goes. Ambiol sensibly stays out of the way, tries not to lose too much time himself, because he's only 3 seconds up the road from that yellow car in the background of Konopka. That's despite the fact that Konopka had to start from the pit lane and had that penalty, which dropped him 5 seconds through the penalty the box early on in the race. So, yeah, there's a key to being lapped. It's being aware, but also letting the faster car through in the right place so that you don't hold yourself up and have to stand on the brakes. And that was just about the perfect way to do it from Ambiol.
Yeah, great stuff there. Very wise from Thomas Ambiol, the 45-year-old in his rookie season. He's a driver who raced a fair bit back in the 90s, had a very long break from motorsport. He wanted to drive a real, honest racing car, and he loved the fact that the Prototype Cups opt to run the 8-cylinder engine this year, and made a decision back in February that he wanted to race. Got together with Noldi Racing, and they put the program together. He had to buy equipment and put the team together himself, and it's paid off because he has won the trophy championship and is looking very solid in that 7th place, doing a sterling job in Prototype Cup Germany. 5.5 minutes remaining as we look down at turn 4. At the moment, Matthias Pierre Jakobsen has fended off Pavel Lefterov. Now, has Lefterov, along with Danny Sufi, taken a lot out of the tyres, because he's dropped back to a second, just over a second, as the gap was pushing quite hard. Now, I do wonder whether they've taken a lot out of the tyres, or is Pavel Lefterov just winding himself up for one last attack. He's got just over 5 minutes plus 1 lap. At the moment, that's the time between now and a potentially first ever win for Matthias Pierre Jakobsen.
Yeah, he's done a really good job here, Jakobsen. Every time the pressure has come, he's been able to hold station and then just edge away a bit. So, yeah, that was a really good lap for him. Lefterov now 1.4 seconds back. Through the first sector, he made up several tenths. That's where he was losing out previously. So 128.2 for the leader, 128.7 for the driver in second place. Maxim Dirks is driving nicely at the moment, 128.5 for him, 128.5 for Plushkal as well. It's only 3 seconds between third and fourth. So Dirks is having to, albeit with a slightly bigger advantage than the race leader has got here, he's having to stay focused to make sure he hangs on to third place and gets those valuable points for what effectively classes as second best of the juniors. So Dirk's doing a good job. 4 minutes and change remaining then. There's the race leader coming out through the right-hander at turn 4. Lefterov will not give up here. Sort of a free hit this, isn't it, with the championship already wrapped up, to try and get yet another race victory. It's before on the trot if Lefterov and Sufi can win it. But Jakobsen digging his heels in here. He hasn't really put a wheel wrong, has he? Haven't seen him make any mistakes. Just made that once tenths into turn 4. He went a bit deep. That was it, really. Otherwise, he's driven very smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the case for Riccardo Cirelli. And I should think Cirelli's heart will be racing as he watches on in the pits. He's like, can you hold on for another 3.5 minutes, please? Pavel Lefterov, be kind. At the moment, Matthias Jakobsen will be laser focused up ahead. He will be aware the Conrad car is in his mirrors, but all of the lessons, everything he's been taught over the years now coming into effect. He has to focus on the road ahead, make sure that all the braking points are right, keep it on the track, don't make any mistakes, and that first win is just over 3 minutes plus 1 lap away.
Battle between the two bronze drivers is looking very tasty as well. They're coming out of the last corner now, and Ambiel and Konopka only a few tenths of a second apart, and they are on track now on your screen. So this gap really started to come down now. Konopka there in the yellow number 4 machine pushing on. He's in the Ligier, Ambiel's in the Duquesne chassis. Duquesne chassis which leads the race with Jakobsen. Really good run coming out of the last 2 turns, 9 and 10 then for Konopka, closing up. He won't be able to launch one at the inside here. He knows that, so he's just got to stick with the car ahead through the apex, try and get on the accelerator quicker and out-accelerate him up towards top speed. And to the eye, looks like he's doing that. He'll pick up a bit of a toe coming up the hill now as they go flat out through turn 2. Is he going to be close enough to stab at the inside at turn 3? I think it'll be a brave move, but he will close the gap.
Brilliant stuff. Good close racing, good mature racing, and real entertainment from Prototype Cup Germany. Just over 2 minutes remaining. Right, Pavel Lefterov has got it to below a second. He's got one more attack coming. 2 minutes remaining of this race. 7 tenths, 0.790. So just under 8 tenths between first and second. So Matthias Jakobsen is going to need to draw on all of his resources and be focused in the closing stages of this race. This is that great battle as well that we've been watching between Ambiel and Konopka as well. This is for 7th place, but at the front of the race, Pavel Lefterov is going for one last attack to try and take this win away. 90 seconds plus 1 lap remaining. Our race leaders are up to turn 4 at the moment. We look again into turn 9 and 10 at this battle for 7th place. But this could all change yet in the last minute and a quarter. Out of turn 10, once again, Konopka in the slipstream of Thomas Ambiel. Is he going to make a challenge into turn 1? Looks to be too far back to me here, but maybe on the exit of turn 1 along towards turns 2 and 3, maybe an opportunity. He's in the slipstream now. He'll duck out the slipstream if he's going to make that challenge. This is flat out here. It takes an awful lot of bravery as they come up the hill. Will he dart to the outside? Will he dart to the inside? No, he just stays behind at the moment. Now into the braking zone, and still everything remaining as it was. At the front, the gap, well, it was 0.790 between first and second, is up to 1.2 now. So we continue to look at this gap here with 30 seconds remaining on the clock.
Yeah, yet again, the race leader Jakobsen responding. He was 2 tenths quicker through the first sector. He was a couple of tenths, 3 tenths quicker through the middle sector of the lap as well. But this is a problem for Lefterov, pulling off the circuit on the way into turn 1, right at the end of the race here. He's parked up. Only 12 seconds left on the clock, and that's steam rather than smoke, I think, coming from the right rear of the car. And Lefterov from 2nd place. The championship already wrapped up. The car has let go on him right at the end. So Maxim Dirks is going to move up to 2nd place, and Plushka will move up onto a podium position as well. Heartache for the team, who have been on the podium in every race but one this year. Got disqualified at Hockenheim from race 2. They're on the podium anyway from that one. But this is going to be their first non-finish of the season. But at least it's after they've wrapped the championship up.
Yeah, what a way to start your championship reign. Our race leader at the moment is up at turn 7. So he's going to come round. It'll be one more lap once he comes from here. We're looking at a replay of the smoke/steam coming from the back of the car. So Conrad Motorsport will get to work on that. Hopefully get that together before tomorrow's race. But at the moment, here comes our race leader about to start his last lap of the race. He is now 4.3 kilometers away from a first ever win for Matthias Jakobsen. He sees the final lap board. The pressure is off. The only mistake now can come from himself or from car failure. He just needs to hold it together into turn 1. Maxim Dirks is next up, then Mattis Plushkol. The point situation would remain exactly the same in the junior ranking because Pavel Lefterov would not have scored points in the junior ranking anyway. So everything as it was on that front. But Matthias B. Jakobsen up the hill to turn 3 for the very last time. Then out towards turn 4 he will come now. The car well clear of Maxim Dirks. 8.4 seconds back is the second place car. 2 seconds back from him is Mattis Plushkol. So the 1, 2, 3, pretty solid. Zeno Folker is some 20 seconds back from Mattis Plushkol. So it's looking like a podium is out of the question. Then Mikko C. Johansson rounding out the top 5. Great job from Kiana Alazari. He's in 8th place, but he's been just putting in the laps, lap after lap, and showing how much pace he's got. He's got the fastest lap of the race. But into turn 8 for the last time, the headlines are likely to go the way of Matthias Bier Jakobsen because he is now just a couple of corners away from a first ever win in Prototype Cup Germany. Into turn 9 he comes down the hill for the very last time, holding it all together out onto the pit straight. He'll see the checkered flag in front of him. It's a first ever win for Matthias Bier Jakobsen, a third ever win for Riccardo Cirelli in Prototype Cup Germany. A haul of points in the Junior Championship. They move themselves to within 11 points of Max Angelard and Mattis Plushkol. Maxim Dirks second and Mattis Plushkol third.
And Konopka up at turn 3, the yellow car there, finally made it stick. He's got ahead of Ambiel at the start of the last lap of the race. He got a better run coming out at turn 1, though, at wheel to wheel all the way up the hill, down the inside, very sketchy on the brakes, but he made it. Ambiel ran wide, and in the end, of course, that became the battle for 6th place. Konopka retrieving a 6th place out of that, which is not bad given the start to the race that he had.
Yeah, he'd been working on that one for about the last 10 minutes, hadn't he? And finally, it paid off. Great stuff there out of the final corner and out across the line. Great racing. The stricken number 2 car at the side there with Pavel Lefterov having exited stage right and across the line to conclude the penultimate race of the season in Prototype Cup Germany. But a great win. Riccardo Cirelli, we saw him win twice last year. Both were at Hockenheim last year, both of his wins. But he now finally gets a win in 2025. But Matthias Bier Jakobsen, the 18-year-old driver, they've had second places on 3 occasions this year, this duo, and finally it's going to be the top step of the podium in the Prototype Cup Germany, race 11 of the season. And there, the classification always subject to confirmation, but you can see Cirelli and Jakobsen taking the win ahead of Sven Bart and Max Dirks, Max Angelard and Mattis Plushkol in third. Those are your podium places. Zeno Folker, solid job with that longer pit stop in 4th place ahead of Mikko C. Johansson and Mikael Herrick. And then that final move for Miro Konopka up past Thomas Ambiel into 6th place, with Kian Alazari coming home in 8th place. He, of course, sharing the car with Marcel Kopp. So really good stuff from Prototype Cup Germany. Always entertaining. Sincerely hope we're going to see them again next year. Do love the rumble of these V8 engines. I know that in the LMP3 category worldwide, there is now a new engine, new chassis that is being used. These old Nissan V8s, though, the 5.6 litre engines. It's the only professional series in the world that uses this chassis and engine combination this year. And really, they're a real head turner when this lot come past. As we look at some super slow-mos of the cars bumping across the curbs. You saw the Mattis Plushkol number 18 car with Max Angelard. There is Sven Bart, Maxim Dirks, who get their 2nd place. Still looking for that first win, though. They've had a few 2nd places already. Maxim Dirks had 2 2nd places at the Lausitz Ring, along with Sven Bart. So still looking for that top step. So they've equaled their best scores ever in Prototype Cup Germany. But a first ever win for Matthias Bier Jakobsen, and he will be delighted with that. The name Matthias Bier Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli, mark that down, because you're going to see a lot of those names in the future. Real up-and-coming superstars in the world of prototypes and GT racing. There, just walking past the cameras, Max Angelard in the pink. And there's Mattis Plushkal, a real character. We've enjoyed watching him in GT4 Germany in the past, but he just looks way more at home behind the wheel of a prototype. And Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen now exiting the car. Will be congratulated by Riccardo Torelli. BWT Motorsport, of course, the legendary team formed originally by Peter Mucker. Wonderful stuff. Prototype Cup Germany. Do hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, we're back tomorrow for the final race of the season. It's going to be at about 4:30 local time here from the Red Bull Ring. Do hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.